Epistemology. What is it? In this video, I want to break down what epistemology means, the word and the meaning. I want to show you how epistemology is a subfield in philosophy, and I also want to get even more narrow into epistemology, breaking it down. Let's break this word down. Ology, you probably know, is a suffix, comes at the end of a word to mean that you're studying it. Ology breaks down into something like the study of. Episteme is a much more fun word here because it helps us understand what it is we're studying philosophically. Episteme is a root that comes from the Greek. Wait, that's supposed to be an I. And it comes from the Greek, which means knowledge. Episteme means knowledge. So epistemology, broken down as a word, means the study of knowledge. It's a little sloppy, let me rewrite it. When you're studying epistemology, you're studying what knowledge is. But knowledge is not just one thing. Knowledge is lots of things. So we can break down epistemology into lots of different subfields. Here's one way we can break it down. If the study of knowledge is epistemology, you could think about knowledge of persons. What does it mean to know your daughter? Whether your daughter is in a bathing suit at the beach, she looks one way. Whether your daughter is in a burqa in the mosque, she looks one way. If your daughter is in a marathon and she's covered mostly in mud, you still know her. If she has full face of makeup on and she's in a beauty pageant, you still know her. To know your daughter, no matter how she looks, no matter how she changes, to know your daughter when she's 7, to know your daughter when she's 17 or 57, that is one kind of way to know something. It's to know someone. Very different from knowing how enter some kind of process or procedure here. To know how to ride a bike is one thing. To know how to fix a car is another thing. But knowing how to do something is very different kind of knowledge than knowing someone. And there's a third category is when you know that something is the case. Enter some kind of fact here. Like you can know that a bicycle has 2 wheels, even if you don't know how to ride a bicycle, even if you don't know anyone who rides bicycles. So when we're studying in epistemology, we're studying knowledge, but here's one way that knowledge breaks down into 3 very different kinds of fields of study. An epistemologist might tell you that they study propositional knowledge, but not procedural knowledge. They're just trying to tell you which kind of knowledge they study. But we can complicate things even further by thinking about how we get knowledge, different sources of knowledge. Perceptual knowledge is the stuff you know because you saw it for yourself. And it doesn't just have to be to visually perceive. If you have smelt something through your olfactory sense, you have perceived that, say, somebody has perfume on, and that would be perceptual knowledge. But what if you didn't smell it for yourself, see it for yourself, hear it for yourself? You were told by somebody else. That's testimonial knowledge, and that's a totally different part of epistemology. So somebody might say, oh, I study testimonial knowledge, but not perceptual knowledge. And that's a different way to distinguish different parts of epistemology. In general, epistemologists have 3 main questions about knowledge, but then they are distinguished from one another based on what part of knowledge they're focused on and the source of knowledge that they care most about, or the kind of knowledge they care most about. What lots of epistemologists have in common is they want to know what it means to know. What does it take to have knowledge? What are the constituent parts that come together to make up knowledge? That's what the nature of something is, what it is. So some people have said that knowledge is a justified true belief, And then Edmund Gettier is famous for arguing that knowledge can't be a justified true belief. So he's talking about this. Of course, we know Bertrand Russell said it first. Lots of epistemologists care about the value of knowledge. Like, for example, Plato has this famous excerpt where he's talking about why we value knowledge. If a true belief is going to get you your answer, then why would you want that extra thing, whatever it is, that you would have if you had knowledge? What makes knowledge so valuable? A third question is about the scope. What even is knowable? Lots of people say that you can only know things that are true. Well, nothing is true about the future. So that means that the scope of knowledge is limited to the present and the past, which have facts, but that nobody can know the future because the future hasn't happened yet. So there are no facts yet. So you can't know anything in the future. Well, that would be its scope. And lots of people disagree about that. But here are 3 different questions that you might have no matter what kind of source of knowledge or kind of knowledge you're dealing with. Philosophy is pretty cool in this way that you can basically take any topic and get scientific about it, trying to break down every component part. And if you're doing that about questions regarding God, you're in the philosophy of religion. If you're doing that about morals, you're in ethics. If you do that about reasoning, you're doing logic. If you do that about physics, you're in science. If you do that about existence, you're in metaphysics. And if your topic that you're breaking down and trying to study scientifically is knowledge itself, then that's the subfield in philosophy called epistemology.